In spite of all the work that goes into producing a movie before the actors even make it to the set, there are times when those actors have absolutely no idea what's about to happen. This can often be done on purpose for numerous reasons, or it could be something more organic that happens throughout the filming process. There have also been times when actors haven't even known that they've appeared in certain films, or were as surprised as audiences at certain scenes when they watched their performance back themselves. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture here with 10 movie moments actors didn't know were coming. Number 10. No one knew about the chest-bursting scene, Alien. The baby xenomorph bursting through John Hurt's chest in Alien is one of the most iconic shots in the history of cinema, and Ridley Scott went to incredible lengths to make sure it looked as realistic as it possibly could. Fear has to be one of the most difficult emotions an actor can portray, as it is so easy to see through. Real fear is far more effective, and that's what the director wanted for this scene. That's why he kept the baby alien a secret right up until it happened. All the actors, with the exception of John Hurt, obviously, were sent to their dressing rooms while the shot was set up. With the gear hidden underneath the table, though they may have suspected something was about to happen, no one was prepared for the baby alien. These reactions were real and went a long way to creating such a masterful and everlasting scene. Number 9. Dwayne Johnson's ad-lib caught Ludacris completely off guard, Fast and Furious 6. Improvisation is absolutely nothing new on a movie set, and often actors going off script can lead to some of the most memorable scenes in the entire process. Usually this is down to the actor themselves and what they say, but it can also elicit fantastic reactions from their co-stars. When Dwayne Johnson joined the Fast franchise in the 5th movie, he undoubtedly offered a shot in the arm and helped with the longevity that it enjoys today. Even now, his most iconic scene may be his big old forehead line. When he entered this particular scene, Roman told Mia to hide her baby oil, to which Rocky replied with his infamous forehead jab. Ludacris, just taking a sip of his drink, was forced into a genuine spit take. A reaction like this to an actor's improv would usually be confined to the blooper reel. However, it worked perfectly in the scene. It was a funny insult, so why wouldn't the character laugh? Thankfully, Gibson stayed in character and responded, allowing Justin Lin to leave the scene in the final cut. Number 8. Bill Nighy didn't know Davy Jones returned, Pirates of the Caribbean, Salazar's Revenge. Bill Nighy's Davy Jones is not only arguably the greatest villain Jack Sparrow ever faced upon the Seven Seas, he is one of the strongest and most memorable bad guys to be introduced in a sequel. Nighy brought the tentacle-faced character to life through motion capture and lent the captain of the Flying Dutchman his unmistakable dulcet Scottish tones for 2 movies. However, Jones has turned up in the franchise outside of both Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, and Nighy didn't even know about it. In a post-credit scene at the end of Salazar's Revenge, with Will Turner now back on dry land, he had a dream about Jones stalking him in his bedroom, only for evidence of his visit to be all too real. There was no dialogue for Jones, however, so Nighy was never actually approached to return to the role. Apparently, he only learned about Jones's return in a conversation with a cab driver. Personally, if Pirate 6 ever gets made, I'd love to see Davy Jones return. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments down below. Should Davy Jones return, or should we have someone new? Number 7. Matt Damon didn't expect Robin Williams' ad-lib story, Good Will Hunting. The relationship between Matt Damon's Will Hunting and Robin Williams' Sean Maguire was something special. After going through 5 different therapists, this was the one that was finally able to get Will to open up, thanks to his brutal and often raw honesty, particularly when it came to his wife. In one acclaimed scene, arguably one of the best in the entire movie, after Will adamantly stayed quiet during his sessions, he began to talk. He told Sean about his date, which led to the therapist talking about his wife. The story the Oscar winner told was to drive home the point that it was her little imperfections and idiosyncrasies that made her his wife that he missed the most. She had been dead for 2 years, and it was the smallest details that he still remembered. Williams managed to portray such a moving scene while also cracking everybody up with a story about his wife farting herself and the dog awake. Matt Damon clearly had no idea that Williams was going to say that, and you can see in the shot he looks over to the director at the beginning of the story. By the end, both men are laughing uncontrollably, along with the cameraman, making it one of the most memorable scenes in the movie. Number 6. Sarah Shahi didn't know Superman was turning up, Black Adam. Even though Black Adam has widely been considered a box office bomb, its $393 million hasn't even been sniffed by the 3 DCEU/DCU movies that have released since. In fact, the 2022 outing is the 7th highest grossing DCEU movie out of the 14 released to date. But Dwayne Johnson's franchise has been officially killed by James Gunn. The movie promised a power shift in the world of DC movies, but ultimately wasn't able to deliver, even though it brought back Henry Cavill as Superman and stood him face to face with Black Adam. This was the worst kept secret in Hollywood. However, though it may have seemed like everyone knew it would happen, even a star of the movie itself was surprised by it. Sarah Shahi plays Adriana in Black Adam, and she had no idea that Supes would be turning up, or that Amanda Waller would be making an appearance either. Number 5. Samuel L. Jackson didn't know there was an Unbreakable connection. Split. It is generally expected that every movie made by M. Night Shyamalan will feature a big twist of some sort, sometimes to the extent that it goes a long way to determine whether audiences enjoy it or not. Though The Sixth Sense is the most famous, the surprise reveal at the end of Split was arguably even better. 16 years after releasing Unbreakable, out of absolutely nowhere, Bruce Willis showed up at the end of Split to tease what would ultimately be Glass, a sequel to both movies. The world was shocked, including Mr. Glass himself. Samuel L. Jackson portrayed the villain in Shyamalan's 2000 outing opposite Bruce Willis, and though the David Dunn actor was obviously informed of the plans for a sequel beforehand, Jackson wasn't. Instead, he simply had to watch the movie and see Bruce Willis just like everyone else. The director told Jackson to watch Split without giving into the details as to why, allowing the actor's jaw to hit the floor when he saw the connection to his own movie from almost 2 decades prior. Number 4. Bill Hader didn't know about Bill Skarsgård's eyes. It Chapter 2. When it was rebooted in 2017, there was a lot of work that went into making Pennywise as terrifying as he ultimately was, through both prosthetics and makeup and of course CGI. Even if you prefer Tim Curry's version of the character and that story, you cannot deny the leap forward in aesthetics. One of the most iconic parts of Pennywise's character in 2017, in clown form at least, was his eyes. No one could watch those eyes wander and not be creeped out by it. While filming It Chapter 2, Bill Hader had the chance to ask Bill Skarsgård himself about the famous eyes. In the actor's mind, this was a trick made possible with special effects. However, Skarsgård had a little fun with his co-star and showed him just how real the eye thing was. This is something that the Pennywise actor is just able to do with his eyes, and when he showed Hader during that casual conversation, the SNL legend freaked out and ran. It's a hilarious story told on Conan O'Brien and is one of those behind-the-scenes stories that changes the way you see certain scenes just that little bit. Number 3. Gabriel Byrne thought he was Keyser Soze, The Usual Suspects. From around the halfway mark of The Usual Suspects, when the name was first spoken about properly, the entire movie became a guessing game surrounding the identity of the elusive Keyser Soze. The man had stayed in the shadows and was almost a legend to the criminal world, but he had been pulling the strings from the beginning. The twist and the reveal that it was in fact Kevin Spacey's character who was the murderous villain worked perfectly, and was potentially so effective because even the cast of the movie had no idea what was going on. According to Kevin Spacey, director Bryan Singer convinced every major actor in the film that they were Keyser Soze, with the truth not being revealed until the finished product was screened for them. This would have surprised Benicio del Toro, Stephen Baldwin, and Kevin Pollak, but it was Gabriel Byrne who took exception to this the most. He thought that he was at the center of the big twist of the movie, and when he found out he wasn't, apparently argued with Singer for half an hour afterward. Number 2. The cast thought they were shooting a wedding. Avengers Endgame. Even at the best of times, the minds behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe would have a hard time keeping some of the big reveals under wraps until precisely the right moment. However, with so many people involved, including multiple who had been known to let spoilers slip previously, this seemed like an impossibility. Two of the biggest culprits of this sort of thing have typically been Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo, who have both taken to social media previously confirming that they were lied to about one of the biggest moments in MCU history. It wasn't just these liabilities, however, as the Russo brothers have spoken about how the entire cast were also told this same lie. No one went to work that day thinking they would be a part of Tony Stark's funeral. There was a whole viral campaign to prevent audiences from revealing Infinity War spoilers when Thanos demanded your silence. But arguably, the most effective thing the film creators could do to stop one of the biggest MCU moments from being spoiled in its follow-up a year later was to tell the entire cast they were in fact shooting for a wedding instead. I mean, that's one way of doing it. Number 1. Alan Rickman didn't know when he was being dropped Die Hard. Whether the category is Christmas movies, iconic 80s movies, or Bruce Willis's greatest ever roles, Die Hard is going to be near the top of the list. However, although John McClane was of course the star, enough can't be said of the excellent portrayal of Hans Gruber by the great Alan Rickman. The villain was ultimately thrown out of a 30th floor window by the hero, an act which would catch up to him in Die Hard with a vengeance. The shot itself is incredible, fully showing Rickman's face as Gruber plunged to his death. However, such a perfect image wouldn't have been possible without Rickman being kept in the dark just a little bit. In order to make the shot as real as possible, Rickman, who was doing the stunt himself, was lied to about when he was going to be dropped. According to the stunt coordinator, he told Rickman he would be dropped after a count to 3, but told the guys holding the rope to let go on 1. Thus, real shock and fear in the face of Hans Gruber, and maybe a lawsuit to follow. And that's everything for this list. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.